And because you have a winner taste, 88.5 FM is your only station. When somebody tells you all FM stations are the same, they haven't been listening. 88.5 FM is totally different. That's why true music lovers make a big switch. And because you have a winner taste, 88.5 FM is your only station.
A pleasant good afternoon and welcome to King's News Broom. 45 minutes of the most competitive news from Liberia and other parts of the world. Today is Thursday, March 27, 2025, and I'm your presenter, Otis Sankan. Story stopping the news this afternoon. Chief Justice Siana Yor and other justices blast majority bloc during Bill of Information hearing says they failed to follow proper legislative procedures and has been involved disordered in the impasse at the lower house. Lead opposition CDC National Chairman Janga Ko says the Bwaka-led government is incompetent and has multiplied hardship on the citizen, accused government of mismanagement of the economy and wrongful handling of critical national issues. ECOWAS ambassador to Liberia Josephine Nkrumah calls for sustained short youth empowerment in driving national development, says the youth will replace the current generation of leaders in the future. In a way for Liberia, the detention of South Sudan Vice President Rex Machan has effectively collapsed the 2018 peace deal that ended the country's 5 year civil war, his party has said. Hundreds of people have been taking part in the largest anti-Hamas protests in Gaza since the war with Israel began, taking to the streets to demand the group step down from power. The headlines, the bulletin of news, the voices of the newsmaker, and other development are all packaged in this lunchtime edition of King's News Boom. With a very short break, welcome back to the program, the bulletin of news, and Cornelius Johnson.
The Supreme Court on Wednesday reserved its ruling in the bill of information filed by embattled House Speaker Fanati Kofa, but blasts majority bloc for failing to follow proper legislative procedures. During the hearing, Chief Justice Yanin Ayo Kape and other justices criticized the disordered conduct caused by the renegade lawmakers at the lower house. She noted that such actions were conducted outside of the Constitution and procedural bounds. Chief Justice Yamin Kwekwebeze also said while the court cannot compel the legislature to act in a specific way, it must ensure that any actions taken are in line with constitutional principles. The Wednesday's Bill of Information hearing was marred by intense legal arguments between lawyers of both sides. Chief Justice Yo stressed that the court will not determine the legitimacy of either Speaker Kofa or Representative Kun's leadership, but will offer guidance on constitutional procedure, leaving the decision to the legislature. The court underscored that any move to remove the legitimate Speaker, Councillor Fonati Kofa, must strictly adhere to established legislative processes, including securing 49 votes in the legitimate sitting of the House. Chief Justice Yule noted that the actions of the majority bloc are or to conduct separate sections without the Speaker presiding authority was chaotic. The court, in its latest hearing, cautioned that legislative action must follow due process, including proper coordination between the Speaker's office and the Deputy Speaker, specifically in the absence of the Speaker. The Coalition for Democratic Change chairman Count Anthony Jangako has described the Boaka-led government as incompetent, adding that the government has failed to deliver on its promises and meet the needs of Liberians. Speaking with reporters after Wednesday's legal argument between rule of law lawmakers and self-imposed majority bloc Cole, chairman of the former ruling unit, that's Coalition for Democratic Change, did not mince his words to call out the Boaga-led government for what he termed mismanagement, inefficiency, and lack of vision. Kowo further noted that Liberia is currently at a standstill under the Boaga leadership, coupled with sharp decline in the political and economic systems, despite numerous pledges made during the campaigns. The CDC chairman also acknowledged citizens suffering, noting that the government remains in a state of confusion and have been unable to deliver the most basic services to the citizens. Kowa remarks are in support of action for increasing public frustration over the government's mild handling of critical issues, including the economy, security, and public services. Liberia is currently experiencing inflation soaring in foreign exchange rates, high rates of unemployment, and disarray of essential services under the Boaka-led government. Kowa continuing that from the mismanagement of the economy to failure to address infrastructure needs, the government has proven it is ill equipped to tackle the challenges the country is faced with. ECOWAS ambassador to Liberia, Josephine Nkrumah, has called for robust youth empowerment across West African region. Ambassador Nkrumah said it is important that the youth are given the chance to form part of decision making because they will have to replace the current generation of leaders in the future. She also encouraged young people to learn how to volunteer their services in society, adding that volunteerism provides an avenue through which they can or could mingle with other different people of different backgrounds. Ambassador Nkrumah made the comments when she delivered a keynote speech at the end of a debate organized by the ECOWAS volunteers in Monrovia. The Liberian Medical and Dental Council has launched a manhunt for Abraham Karaman following his alleged impersonation as a medical doctor in the performance of an unauthorized surgery that led to the death of Dorcas Vonde, aged 39. LMDC action followed a formal complaint filed by Herbert Law Firm on behalf of the deceased family, who accused Kamara of performing a fibro removal surgery on Madame Vonde on March 16 at the ABC clinic in Barnesville. According to the LMDC investigative report, the perpetrator failed to stabilize the victim's condition, noting that some critical medical procedures were not followed before the surgery. Meanwhile, the situation has raised public outcry, with many citizens calling for the immediate shutdown of the medical facility. The LMDC has assured the victim's family of bringing the alleged perpetrator to justice. The Liberia National Police has suspended two of its officers without pay for at least 3 months for falsification of police clearance documents. The suspended officers include Samuel Nepe and Patrolman Sweetly Flomo. The two were suspended following an investigation by the Standards Department of the LMP. In a release, the Liberia National Police says the actions of the officers are in violations of the 2015 Section 22.90 Act of the institution. The release added that the Liberia National Police wishes to assure the public that the issuance of police clearance certificates is the sole responsibility of the Records and Identification Section. Meanwhile, the release is quoted as saying the Liberia National Police remains steadfast in ensuring transparency, accountability, and the delivery of quality services to all Liberians. The University of Liberia has launched an academic lecture symposium under the auspices of the Department of Public Administration. The symposium will be used to strengthen practical knowledge of public personnel management and provide opportunities for students who are studying public administration. Launching of the symposium brought together government officials, professors, department heads, and students. The activity, which was held on the main campus of the university, was under the theme Strengthening Public Personnel Administration, Innovation, and Challenges in the Liberian Civil Service. Speaking on behalf of the Public Administration Department, the department's acting chair, Roland Jala, admonished students to utilize the opportunity and take their lessons seriously. He stressed that if Liberia is to compete with other neighboring countries, future leadership should focus on building their human capacity and desist from political activities. Also speaking, CSA Principal Administrative Officer Alfred Dozier said it is predicated upon learners to comply with academic principles in order to enable them acquire skills and innovation. Aggrieved employees of the Liberian Marketing Association have expressed concerns over what they call massive financial malpractices and poor labor conditions at the entity. During a press conference on Tuesday, the employees highlighted issues of salary disparities under the leadership of Chief Executive Officer Francis Sayo. According to them, despite several attempts to resolve the matter, the leadership of the Liberian Marketing Association has downplayed their concerns. However, responding to the employees' assertions, the chairman of the Employees Association and Inspector General of the LMA, Joseph Kokoi, termed the accusations as false and misleading. He also accused the outgoing president of the entity, Madam Elizabeth Sambula, of being the chief mastermind behind the employees' actions in an effort to shield what he termed her corrupt activities. Bombing Community College and the Community of Hope Agriculture Project have entered a one-year partnership agreement aimed at expanding agricultural production in the county. The agreement was signed on Wednesday, March 26, at the campus of the Bombing Community College. Speaking after the signing ceremony, BCC President Dr. Zombo Noma described the partnership as a major step forward for the institution, emphasizing that the agreement allows CHAP to utilize lowland provided by the college for cultivating Liberian rice. Additionally, agricultural students of the Bombing Community College will gain hands-on experience through a demonstration site, enhancing their practical knowledge. The president of the Bombing Community College further stated that CHAP's involvement will provide students, particularly those in the agricultural department, with greater exposure to modern farming techniques. For his part, the executive director of CHAP, Reverend Robert Bayman, expressed excitement about the collaboration, noting that the initiative will introduce agribusiness concepts and innovative agricultural technologies to students at the BCC. Reverend Bima added that the memorandum of understanding between the two institutions will create opportunities for students to participate in practical training, internships, and other educational programs to improve their skills in the agricultural sector. The partnership is expected to strengthen agricultural education at Bombing Community College while boosting local farm production in Bombing County. And the government of Liberia has announced a nationwide suspension of all poro and sandy activities for the period of 9 months. According to the government, the ban will take immediate effect on April 30, 2025 and run through January 2026. Internal Affairs Minister Francis Umali said the decision is intended to preserve the country's rich cultural heritage and will at the same time be used to prioritize national development mainly in education. The government ban will halt all traditional initiations into the Poro and Sani societies and would dissolve all existing traditional coordinators across the country. Minister Yumale disclosed that the selection of new coordinators will be decentralized on a county level recommendation from the Traditional Council, which will be submitted through local superintendents to the Ministry of Internal Affairs. Following the government's announcement to suspend all traditional activities, several traditional chiefs have criticized the move, adding that it would erode the country's culture and traditions. However, Several other persons, including students, educators, and advocates, considered the suspension a positive decision which will promote academic learning in all parts of Liberia. The Poro and Sane societies have been used as key institutions for transition of young men and women into adulthood. The news bulletin is back to you, Otis, for the continuation of King's News Broom.
Thanks so much for the news bulletin. Is a regular feature here on King's News Broom. Indeed, if you are just joining us, it's a reminder that you are in tune to King's News Broom, 45 minutes of the most comparing news from Liberia and other parts of the world. Stories topping the news this afternoon: Chief Justice Sianen Yor and other justices last majority block doing bill of information hearing says they failed to follow proper legislative procedure and has been involved disordered in the impasse at the lower house. Lead opposition CDC National Chairman Janga Cole says the Bwaka-led government is incompetent and has multiplied hardship on the citizen, accused government of mismanagement of the economic and wrongful handling of critical national issues. ECOWAS ambassador to Liberia Josephine Nkrumah calls for sustained shocks youth empowerment in driving national development, says the youth will replace the current generation of leaders in the future. And away from Liberia, the detention of South Sudan Vice President Riek Machar has effectively collapsed the 2018 peace deal that ended the country's 5-year civil war, his party has said. Hundreds of people have taken part in the largest anti-Hamas protest in Gaza since the war with Israel began, taking to the streets to demand group step down from power. We are taking another break, this time to come back with the voices of the news maker. Thanks so much for rejoining us on the news program. The Coalition for Democratic Change National Chairman Antonin Janga Cole has described the Bwaka-led government as incompetent, adding that the government has failed to deliver its promises, meet the needs of Liberians. Speaking with reported Wednesday after the legal argument between rule of law lawmakers and self-imposed majority bloc, Cole, chairman of the former ruling party, did not miss his word to call out President Bwaka-led government for what he terms mismanagement, inefficiency, and lack of vision.
There's a time where you have to make sure you put yourself in the proper perspective to govern the country. But you can clearly see President Joseph Boakai and his entire government, they are incompetent. They do not understand anything about this country. And you see, they are confused. They are totally confused in the country. We are totally disappointed, but it's an opportunity for the Liberian people to see the difference between a CDC government and a unity party government. The Liberian people in 1 year have got to understand that the CDC government was far better than the United Party government, because when the United Party government governed the country for 12 years, that was the time where you have 15,000 international troops on the ground. So they were not responsible for domestic security. They were not responsible for a lot of the things that were happening in the country, because the country was like being handled by the international partners. But you saw the 6th year of the CDC government, when we took power, we immediately started to confront the challenges of the country. You saw infrastructure development, you saw free education, you saw free healthcare, you saw hospitals being built around the country. In the last 12 to 14 months, what do you see happening around the country?
He's the national chairman of the opposition Coalition for Democratic Change, Antonin Janga Cole. ECOWAS ambassador to Liberia, Josephine Nkrumah, has called for robust youth empowerment across West African region. Ambassador Nkrumah made a comment when she delivered the keynote speech at the end of a debate organized by ECOWAS volunteers in Monrovia.
The youth of ECOWAS form the largest demographic of all the population. So your voice must be heard. Your voice must be listened to, and you should have a seat at the table. What do I say when I say you should have a seat at the table? You know that every time you talk about women empowerment, gender mainstreaming, women empowerment, or gender mainstreaming in all sectors of our national development. But I also believe in youth mainstreaming in all our sectors of development. Because if you don't mainstream the youth to tap into their potential, to understand their aspirations, but also more importantly, to build an interconnected society where you don't have the youth on one side, the rulers or our leaders on another side. We cannot shape the kind of ECOWAS that we want. And therefore, my strong advocacy these days, when I speak with relevant stakeholders to youth empowerment, is about beginning a trend of youth mainstreaming in all our policies, all our agenda for development. That I think will begin to bridge the gap where your voices will be heard and where we can tap into the vast potential that you have. The youth, for me, are a potent force for good. In today's world, oftentimes when we talk about youth, peace, and security, people look at it in terms of conflict, but also they look at it in terms of how we can begin to plug the youth into a grand developmental agenda for an ECOWAS that we want.
She's ECOWAS ambassador to Liberia, Josephine Nkrumah, there delivering a keynote speech at the end of a debate organized by an ECOWAS volunteer in Monrovia. The University of Liberia has launched an academic lecture symposium under the auspices of the Department of Public Administration. Speaking on behalf of the Public Administration Department, the department acting chair, Roland Jalat, admonished students to utilize the opportunities and take their lesson seriously.
What we try to do, together with the dean, is to rebrand the Department of Public Administration to give us a new look, to give us a new name as instructors and students of the Department of Public Administration here at the University of Liberia. And so we have embarked on a series of symposiums, seminars, so as to acquaint you with the practical realities when it comes to public sector management. Like all other theories, but there are people with hands on. We are inviting them to come and tell you how it looks like out there. Many of you participate in conversations, in debates, and at times we need to know the actuality of things, not to focus on what is said in the street, but instead what is the actuality. And our vision here is to transform your mind, to make you a better person. When you graduate in the Department of Public Administration, people should see you as a true bureaucrat that believes in good governance. The practices of good governance should be left with you. So we say thanks for coming. Sit attentively and listen to Mr. Joseph. He has over 20 years, if not 25 years of experience as a civil service agency, and he knows much about public employment. He has participated in that of civil service reform.
Yes. Also speaking, CSA Principal Administrative Officer Alfred Drosy said it is predicated upon learners to comply with academic principles in order to enable them acquire skills and innovation.
The world needs now. So as we go through our lecture series, like the Equality said, like our Honorable Dean said, sit back, listen to the presentation, prepare your notes, and ask all of your questions. Thank you. Yes. You have to be in full compliance. There are some of us who have the issues that the Dean Weather said, sometimes you want to trade your body for grade. It's unacceptable. Under the global name, we can't do that. You can't bribe the lecturers. You can't solicit grade to the bribe, through friendship. You must earn your degree. Be proud that you can earn Now, social media is the wildfire. It's the watchdog in society. So all of us have to be cognizant. This is why, for example, the civil service agencies subscribe to the National Code of Conduct of Public Officials and Government Employees. You must apply. Currently, we are enforcing the Access Declaration amended by the President to ensure that all those who are not in full compliance of declaring their access, salaries are withheld, and deposited will open an escrow account to the DCA, the CSA, and the Minister of Finance. That escrow account, the money has been moved to that escrow account for 90,000 plus. That money will be used from one child, one scale class. So moving forward, any violators who violate, the money will be removed the money because we manage it to pay. So we will work with the minister of education to ensure that it's clear. Sometimes
He's CSA Principal Administrative Officer Alfred Joseph. Earlier on, you heard the voice of the acting chair of Public Administration Department at the University of Liberia, Roland Jada. Agrees employees of the Liberian Marketing Association have expressed concern over what they call massive financial malpractices and poor labor practices at the entity. According to them, despite several attempts to resolve the matter, the leadership of the Liberian Marketing Association has downplayed that concern.
Our concerns and issues are unfair dismissal, bar reshuffle, unfair reshuffle practice, or underpayment, salary disparity, and bad financial practices. Or if the agreed employees of the Liberian market endure persistent administrative and financial mismanagement under the leadership of Mr. Francis F. Sion and the board chair, Man Lucy Crawford. There are a lot of things happening, and we thought of flagging it out with management and the executive. Since January 17, we communicated with central management on our grievances. For up to date, they refuse to adhere to our complaint. With reference to the reshuffle, with reference to staff up here, because the HR and the deputy HR took on employee salary and owing employees 2023 and 2024 arrears up to this time, the system generate millions of dollars without settling employees that are taking the very low amount. It was surprising to realize that we have the people that are generating the fund of this entity for taking nothing as a basic salary. Therefore, for the sweepers.
However, responding to employees' section, the chairman of the Employees Association and Inspector General of LMA, Joseph Kukoya, termed the accusation as false and misleading.
The issue concerning those who claim to be aggrieved, like I said to a few of the colleagues, those guys, the five individuals in question, they are not aggrieved, but rather because you cannot be aggrieved and then receiving salary from the very person you are accusing on a monthly basis and other benefits. Okay, so it is disingenuous to hear five individuals that are receiving salary monthly from January up to now. These guys are receiving salary. So why you call yourself aggrieved? But these guys are purported surrogate of the current president of the Liberian Marketing Association. And for we are prepared to elevate this debate. It's a sponsor. The five individuals that continue to put our institution in the public for the wrong reason. They are not agreed. They are purported surrogate of Madam Elizabeth Samla, outgoing president of the Liberian Marketing Association. And we are clear about that. It is because Madam Samla has failed the entity for the last 4 years. This madam, I want to be on record, is the most corrupt president since the foundations of the Liberian Marketing Association. Yes, she's on record for receiving millions in Douala Market. She received $20,000 from the former government. The very car she carried today, that car belongs to the entity. That car, she's not using that car, the airport, as car rental. Beyond that, during the 2020 election, there was money given to this entity. still bring the hair between the former government and our institution collected millions of dollars. In Nima, the government sent 12 million. The current president went and received 4 million as a kickback for the 12 million.
He is the chairman of the Employees Association and Inspector General of the Liberia Marketing Association, Joseph Kokol. Earlier on, you heard the voice of aggrieved staffers of the Liberia Marketing Association. Well, we're halfway past the news hour now. It's Amanda, and as a reminder, you are in tune to King's News Broom, 45 minutes of the most compelling news for Liberia and other parts of the world. Stories topping the news this afternoon: Chief Justice Sianen Ayo and other justices blast majority block during Bill of Information hearing, say they failed to follow proper legislative procedures and has been involved disorder in the impasse at the lower house. Lead opposition CDC National Chairman Janga Cole says the Bwaka-led government is incompetent and has multiplied hardship on the citizen, accused government of mismanagement of the economic and wrongful handling of critical national issues. ECOWAS Ambassador to Liberia, Josephine Nkrumah, calls for substantial youth empowerment in driving national development, says the youth will replace the current generation of leaders in the future. In a way from Liberia, the detention of South Sudan Vice President Riek Machar has effectively collapsed the 2018 peace deal that ended the country's 5 years civil war, his party has said. Hundreds of people have taken part in the largest anti-Hamas protests in Gaza since the war with Israel began, taking to the streets to demand the group step down from power. We are taking another break to return with more development on the news program. Thanks so much for rejoining us. The Liberia Medical and Dental Council have launched a manhunt for Ibrahim Kamara following his alleged impersonation as a medical doctor in the performance of an unauthorized surgery that led to the death of Dorcas Vondet, age 39. Here now is assets from the ABC clinic in Gatnsville.
So you put not organized. Excuse about the queue. So there's one dispensary here. You use both dispensary, but dispensary and record. Who the dispensary? Mashami. Operating room. Philo. Yeah. Please go. Let open the operating room. Yeah, let go open the operating room.
Change where lesson, man.
You want to tell me? I want to see it, please. Let me just see it. Let me just verify. Wait. Is this a report?
Yeah, that is new lessons you're giving on.
Okay, report it. Excuse me.
Nothing wrong by way in come with attention like.
Okay. Who did the kiss?
Come out here.
Who did I come out? When you begin that talk? When you begin that talk? No, you said you are RN, right? Listen to me. You are RN, right? Right? Everyone asked you for your qualification, and you said you produce your license as an RN, right? Now you call the man a doctor. He also has a license to show that he's a doctor. He get the case, right? Or believe me, if you don't, you will be. So you guys want to consider no qualified person here? Who the next here? Who the person?
Assets from LMDC action after the complaint was filed by the Herbert law firm on behalf of the deceased family. Bowman County College BCC and the Community of Hope Agriculture Project, CHAP, have entered a one-year partnership agreement aimed at expanding agricultural production in the county. The agreement was signed Wednesday, March 26, 2025, at the campus of Broom Community College. The president of Broom Community College further stated that CHAP involvement will provide students, particularly those in agriculture department, with greater exposure to modern techniques. Here now is Dr. Zokwit Norman.
Well, it was a blessing for us. I mean, they came visiting the county, and as they were going, they saw the swamp. And they wonder who got this swamp, and they saw some of the activities we were doing, and they got interested, and they approached us to do a partnership in agricultural production, and we said, yeah, we're very happy. So right now, if you went to the swamp, the workers are working, women, men, is doing good. How it all started. And our responsibility is to provide the land, right? I mean the swamp land. Provide the swamp land, and we'll be involved also, I call the member, with the management of the farm. We will also provide our students, to go there and get some practical exposure in addition to what our program requires, our agriculture program. We already have practical exercises on our academic program, but this will expose them further, CHAP, Community of Hope Agriculture Project, that they call themselves. They have projects around the country, okay? So they were assist our students to do more practical things on the field. And besides that, they will make field visits to the different projects that CHAP is operating around the country.
Okay, so how does this partnership or agreement between you and CHAP benefit your institution, particularly the students, especially in the agriculture department?
Okay, yeah. One of the ways that this project will going to benefit the students is the practical experience that they're going to get exposed to. So they come to class and they learn the theory, right? About irrigation maybe, or about some crop thing. But then they go in the field. We have assigned agricultural activities too. So this will be like enriching it. You will get more exposure. So if you get something like 60% practical and 40% theory, we think that's a very good combination.
For his part, the executive director of CHAP, Reverend Robert Baimbad, expressed excitement about the collaboration, noting that the initiative will introduce agro-business concept and innovative agricultural technologies to students at BBC.
I came to sign the MOU between CHAP and the Broom Community College that is now transitioning to the Western University program. And the purpose is to see how we do the partnership with the college in terms of the agriculture department to work closely with the agriculture department to introduce the agribusiness, the different technology that we promote, the innovations that we promote at the CHAP level as we champion the cause of farms for jobs, with promote agriculture development. So that was basically, so we have an MOU with BCC that we will work together with, and we will handle certain affairs of their college in terms of the practical and the internship programs.
So exactly, what prompted the partnership between you and the Broom Community College that you signed today?
Yeah, so it was out of 3 weeks ago, we were here in the county. We have started our work in the county. I want to thank the superintendent. She did exceptionally well. Office opening up, or she opened up to us to develop most of the lowlands here and to make sure we promote the agricultural development, which is in line with the arrest agenda as well. And then we also partnership with other universities. So we feel that if we are implementing doing major work, why can we partnership with the BCC that is doing a great job? They are doing excellent job, in terms of the human resource development at this college. So that's what prompted it. And we are here, and today we have the MOU signed. So the MOU is a 1-year MOU, but it's subject to being reviewed and renewed. So which is good for us. So, and we can always review it and see what it will need to be improved on. But we hope that this will go a long way for the both institutions.
He's the executive director of CHAP, Reverend Robert Baimbad. Earlier on, you heard the voice of the president of BCC, President Dr. Zokwit Norman. To this development, the Supreme Court on Wednesday reserved its ruling in the Bill of Information filed by embattled House Speaker Fonati Kofa, but blasted the majority bloc for failing to follow proper legislative procedure. During the hearing, Chief Justice Siana Yeo and other justices criticized the disorder caused by the renegade lawmakers at the lower house.
That's how they designated themselves. In the other people brief, it was in the informant petition, and they asked their speaker, Kofa. Kofa as the speaker. Now, albeit this is a bill of information, this court will never forget that. But as you so meticulously read and provisions or sections of our ruling of December 16, 2024, let me refer you to page 21 of that ruling, starting from the second paragraph. The respondents for their part, that is Honorable Broom and others, for their part, have counter-argued that they have already expressed a vote of no confidence in the leadership of the Speaker, that their quorum in the joint chambers of the legislature is legitimate for the transaction of businesses in next the constitutional requirement of a simple majority as described in the Constitution and rules, that their quorum is being chaired by a presiding officer in person of the Deputy Speaker, who is legally clothed with the same authority as the Speaker to preside over their deliberation in the absence of the Speaker, that they have cited the petitioners and other minority members of the House to attend session in the joint chambers, but they refused, and that they are constitutionally vested with the authority to conduct the business of the House of Representatives. And we said they're like the petitioners in this case here now, the respondents have also drawn our attention to the constitutional phrase, quote, a simple majority of each house shall constitute a quorum for the transaction of business. We went further to say here that, look,
Chief Justice Shannon Yale, there's deliberating at the hearing of the Bill of Information filed by Embattled House Speaker, Councillor Funanti Kofa. Well, away from home now, the detention of South Sudan Vice President Riek Machar has effectively collapsed the 2018 peace deal that ended the country's 5-year civil war, his party has said. An armed convoy led by top security officials, including the defense minister, entered Machar residence in the capital, Juba, and disarmed his bodyguards late on Wednesday, said the Sudan's People Liberation Movement in opposition, SPLMRO. Machar was detained alongside his wife, Angeline Tenin, who is the country's interior minister, the party added. The arrest and detention of His Excellency Dr. Riek Machar effectively bring the peace agreement to a collapse, SPLMRO Deputy Leader Oyet Nathaniel Pirino said. Hundreds of people have taken part in the largest anti-Hamas protests in Gaza since the war with Israel began, taking to the streets to demand the group step down from power. Max Hamas militants, some armed with guns and others carrying batons, intervened and forcibly dispersed the protesters, assaulting several of them. Videos shared widely on social media by activists typically critical of Hamas showing young men marching in the street of Bethlehem, northern Gaza on Tuesday, chanting, out, 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 Hamas out. Hamas said it condemned those who is accused of pushing suspicious political agendas and shifting the blame from Israel. Many thanks to all of our correspondents, reporters, and contributors who helped in making this lunchtime edition of News Broom a success. But before we take a leave of you, here are stories we closely carry. Chief Justice Shannon Yale and other justices last majority block during Bill of Information hearing says they failed to follow proper legislative procedures and has been involved disordered in the impasse at the lower house. Lead opposition CDC National Chairman Janga Cole says the Bwaka-led government is incompetent and has multiplied hardship on the citizen, accused government of mismanagement of the economic and wrongful handling of critical national issues. ECOWAS Ambassador to Liberia, Josephine Nkrumah, calls for substantial youth empowerment in driving national development, says the youth will replace the current generation of leaders in the future. And away from Liberia, the detention of South Sudan Vice President Riek Machar has effectively collapsed the 2018 peace deal that ended the country's 5-year civil war, his party has said. Hundreds of people have taken part in the largest anti-Hamas protest in Gaza since the war with Israel began, taking to the streets to demand the group step down from power. Many thanks to Cornelius Johnson, who brought us the news bulletin inside of control. My name is Otis Sankan. On behalf of the entire news team here at Royal Multimedia Group, thanks so much for watching and listening. Good afternoon.